Ladies and gentlemen, it feels so good to be right. It feels so good to be on the right side of American history. It feels so good after all these years of putting up with liberal propaganda, with the far left extremism and everything else that comes with, the lies that we have to put up with from the left. What am I talking about? I'm talking about them telling us that Trump is a dictator. I'm talking about them talking about, oh, Trump works for Russia. Trump is an asset of Russia and he's Putin's puppet. Well, ladies and gentlemen, these far left extremists have all been exposed. And Trump and his administration, his FBI and his DOJ finally have almost 2 decades of evidence to get arrest warrants. I'm talking about even going far behind and before Trump running for president the first time around. Ladies and gentlemen, this video is a doozy. Do me a huge favor. Smash that thumbs up, subscribe, leave me a comment. Where are you tuning in from today? We're going to cover that story. And there's some other stuff that Tulsi Gabbard has been exposing on top of that. As you probably heard, Fort Stewart, there was a mass shooting that happened today, ladies and gentlemen. It's sad. We lost some soldiers. Smash the thumbs up, subscribe, leave me a comment. And really quickly, before we dive into those stories, ladies and gentlemen, today's sponsor is Verity Metals. Precious metals, gold, silver, platinum. What do? They protect your IRA, 401k, retirement plan, cash, and everything in between. This right here, ladies and gentlemen, real gold and silver, constitutional money. Call them at 888-328-6105. Tell them that Vlad sent you to get your free silver and your next order. Links are down below in the description. Thank you. So let's get right into this. Tulsi Gabbard she's doing the Lord's work. I don't know how else to say it. Tulsi Gabbard reveals deep state operative James Clapper's Russia hoax wasn't his first intel scam. He, quote, manufactured the weapons of mass destruction lie that led to the Iraq war. So James Clapper, Tulsi Gabbard now has evidence that James Clapper manufactured, made up a fake story about the weapons of mass destruction. Meaning, ladies and gentlemen, we invaded a sovereign nation. We killed hundreds of thousands of civilians over one man's lie. We always knew this, but doesn't it feel good to finally have corroborating evidence? Right? We always knew this. The redneck rebel. We knew this years ago. We also knew that they rigged 2020. But now we have the evidence to shove it in the far left extremists' face. And isn't that just amazing? Here's what there's a clip. I want to play the clip. Here it is.
James Clapper was on the team that manufactured intelligence assessment that led to the Iraq war, about the Iraq WMDs. He writes about it in his book, saying that he and his team of intelligence analysts created something that was not there. When you look at his actions then, and you look at his actions in 2016 as Obama's director of national intelligence, you see someone who has no problem whatsoever politicizing and manufacturing and weaponizing intelligence for a political outcome.
These people are absolutely disgusting. These people are sick. These people are lowlifes. Imagine, just because you have a great weapons manufacturing contract, and you're going to get money if we go to war. You're going to get money if our weapons are sent somewhere. You are willing to lie. You are willing to have babies killed. Innocent men, women, children, elderly. You don't care, ladies and gentlemen. This is the state of our government. If Donald Trump does not fulfill all of his campaign promises about draining the swamp and destroying the bureaucratic center within our government, our country can't be saved. Ladies and gentlemen, very soon I'm going to have to make a video about the ugly truth that I've been digging into JD Vance. I've been digging, and our next president more than likely is going to be JD Vance. So I liked JD Vance, and I still do. I used to not, because he used to call Trump a Nazi. You remember that? And this is all very connected. JD Vance used to say he's a never Trumper. He didn't vote for Trump in 2016. He didn't vote for Trump in 2020. JD Vance, right? Let me Google this guy's name. It's always there. So you know Palantir, right? They want to build the huge data center to monitor Americans. What's the guy's name? Palantir. What's yeah, I'm sorry. I keep forgetting the guy's name. How do I forget the guy's name? Owner. Peter Thiel. You guys know who Peter Thiel is? So Peter Thiel, he is Israeli American. He's an Israeli American, and he's the creator of Palantir. And there are interviews where Peter Thiel is being asked, do you want the human race to succeed? Do you want the human race to win? And he says, no. No. He says humans are too dumb. Peter Thiel is the reason that JD Vance is the vice president. Peter Thiel, in 2021, when JD Vance used to hate Trump, call him a Nazi, said, I'm a never Trumper, Peter Thiel donated $15 million to the JD Vance campaign. That is the biggest amount of money ever donated in one donation to a United States senator run ever. That's the biggest donation in history. And JD Vance, after had a meeting with him, then Peter Thiel flew to Mar-a-Lago, talked with Trump, then JD Vance jumped in the airplane, flew to Mar-a-Lago, and Trump gave him an endorsement. Peter Thiel wants to control the world. I don't like the guy. I don't like Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel is an open anti-God, anti-humanity. He's pro-abortion. He talks some that he's for abortions all the time. And if you go back to 15 years ago when JD Vance was in university, Peter Thiel and JD Vance were really good friends. Now, I am making a simple observation / speculation. Peter Thiel is a very bad guy. Very bad guy. His company is the foundation for globalism. His company, Palantir, is the foundation for a one world government and total control of you, your family, your wife, your children, and everything that you do. In the big, beautiful bill, there is $500 million. I believe, $500 million to Palantir as a grant to build this AI watchful eye. I don't know what else to say it. I like JD Vance. He says the right things. He says great stuff. But look, besides saying the great, amazing things, what does your background say about you? We know Trump's background. You know, and I want to go back to the point when I look around. Why am I saying this? Because if I look at JD Vance's friends and who influences him and who funds his campaign, unless he breaks off those friendships publicly, he's going to be a president that's going to owe his political career to a globalist if he wins the next presidency. And if Trump doesn't truly drain the swamp, we are screwed. Ladies and gentlemen, what Tulsi Gabbard is doing is she is telling us, that's right, Mongoose, you are the company that you keep. There's a Slavic saying, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are. You don't have to tell me who you are. Show me who you hang out with. Let me get to know them, and I'll tell you who you are. But the point of the story is, if the swamp is not drained in 3.5 years, this country cannot be reversed or saved. If people don't go to prison, and I'm sorry, with the work that we've been seeing from Pam Bondi, do you know that the Trump administration has sent a referral for Letitia James to be indicted on criminal charges, mortgage fraud and bank fraud? It's been nearly 3.5 months now. Nothing. Nothing. No indictments, no nothing. Now, there is a grand jury. And by the way, I have great news. If you guys, I received over 20 emails about this already. That the grand jury that is looking into Hillary, Obama, it's actually not in DC, it's not in New York, it's down in Florida. So the prosecutor is a South Florida prosecutor, big Trump supporter, Trump ally. And the grand jury is in South Florida, Trump country. So maybe, God willing, and Pam Bondi, do your job, we are going to see indictments. But let's go back. If Trump does not fulfill every campaign promises to one reason or another, the swamp is going to be bigger and stronger than ever before. Here's why. Just like between 2021 and 2024, Trump and his supporters, we learned our lesson. We learned our lesson after 2020, right? We took a step back, how Charlie Kirk says. He says, we took a step back. Why Florida? Because they raided Trump's home in Florida. So they're saying it was a big conspiracy that started in 2016. The Florida raid has something to do connected to it. That's why they're doing it in Florida. Okay, but we took, like Charlie Kirk says, we took a step back. We learned from our mistakes, and we came back stronger and better than ever and won in a landslide. Historic victory. Do you think the Democrats are not taking a step back and learning from their mistakes? How after 2020, they rigged the election. They installed a dead Joe Biden puppet who was napping all the time. And they had all this power. They took the House. They took the Senate, everything. And then just 4 years later, they lost it all. Oh, they're taking a step back and they're learning too. And now how we see Trump he learned his lesson, and from day one, he hit the road running to reverse globalism and bring back patriotism and American sovereignty. If the Democrats, God forbid, Lord Jesus help us, if they take back the White House, Senate, and Congress, do you not think that they are going to hit the first day road running, going back to globalism, socialism, communism, and Satanism? Oh, they will. But more than I worry about the Democrats, excuse me, more than I worry about the Democrats, I worry about Republican rhinos. I worry about the neocons. I worry about those that have dual citizenships. How can you serve as an elected official but have two citizenships? Whenever you get a citizenship, no matter what country you are from, whether Israel, Russia, China, America, you pledge your allegiance to that country's constitution. Now, if you're an American representative with a dual citizenship, you pledge your allegiance to two different nations. How do I know that you are in American Congress, but you're not acting on the best behalf of a foreign nation, ally or not? We don't know. I believe there needs to be a law that if you are running for American, Congress, Senate, anything, and you have a dual citizenship, even if your dual citizenship is with an ally like Israel or a European nation, you have to give up your citizenship. If you're running for American Congress, you give up the other citizenship. That's it. That's it. Yeah, good point. Plus, we got aliens in the way. Oh, my goodness. Now, so we need our, and ladies and gentlemen, I already see we are in the Bolshevik Revolution. We are, I love history. I've always wondered, how did such a powerful empire like the Russian Empire collapse? We are in the Bolshevik Revolution. We're in it. They started first with LGBT, then with anti-immigration stuff. It's literally, and they even had a rumor called Operation Trust, where, hey guys, don't protest, don't go out there and take your country back. Don't worry. Some generals behind the scenes have everything under control. They literally called it Operation Trust. They are playing the same playbook. And in it, they said, when you see communism coming into your society, into your towns, into your villages, don't worry. The white hats are in control. Even when the king was executed for over 7 years, the people still believed he's alive and hiding and really in control. Does that sound like anything to you today? I know people who didn't vote in the last, huge Trump supporters, but they said everything is under such control that we don't need to vote. It's sad. Oh, I agree there. Hey, I'll go buy one tonight. If you're in Arizona, it's like $500 million tonight. Now, let's move on to the story before we wrap up, because I believe this story needs some attention. Just in Fort Stewart, here, let me move this over here. Stewart, mass shooter identified as Army Sergeant Cornelius Radford. Fellow soldiers tackled him without hesitation with dispatch audio.
We have identified the alleged shooter as Sergeant Cornelius Radford, an automated logistics sergeant assigned to 2nd Brigade Combat Team. Sergeant Radford has not previously deployed to combat. Sergeant Radford has been interviewed by the Army Criminal Investigation Division and is currently in pretrial confinement, awaiting a charging decision by the Office of the Special Trial Counsel.
So 5 soldiers were injured after Cornelius Radford opened fire at a Fort Stewart in Georgia on Wednesday morning. The 5 injured soldiers were transported to a hospital and are in stable condition. Here's the dispatch audio.
Mag Station 1, mutual aid request for a gunshot wound on Fort Stewart. It'll be building 8420 2nd Brigade, 8420 2nd Brigade, gunshot wound, mutual aid. There's possibly 5 patients. They have both of their EMS trucks on scene. The scene is clear. Everything is secure. We don't know who has what. Multiple people injured.
Thank you, William. So, ladies and gentlemen, keep our brave men and women in uniform in your prayers. But isn't it, just think about it. I have friends that went to Iraq. I have a couple friends that are former Marines. Well, they're still Marines. They came back with post-traumatic stress disorder. One of my Marine friends that I grew up with, when he came back, his wife divorced him and took their kid and left. Because he came back, he's waking up at night screaming. He did a tour, 2 tours in Iraq. So my friend's life has been destroyed. His family has been destroyed because of a lie from our own government. See, what is the hardest pain to forgive? when someone you don't know causes you that pain, or when it's a family member or your closest one, someone you trust, someone who you trust, someone who you trust. And our own government, and these people in our own government who swear an oath to the Constitution to serve and protect the American people and tell us the truth, are the ones who lie to us the most, are the ones who send our brave men and women in uniform to die, are the ones who support Nazi regimes. Thank you so much for the donation. We must protect and care for our vets. My father is a Vietnam veteran. Bless you, Vlad. Thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. I have friends right now who are in the Air Force, who are in the Navy, people I grew up with. And can someone please name a war in the last 100 years? That's how far I'm willing to go. In the last 100 years, a war that we fought on our behalf. Even World War II, we only got involved, you guys, and we knew that we were going to get attacked by Japan. And instead of stopping it, our own government allowed it to happen. They allowed D-Day to happen. They knew when it was going to happen and where it was going to happen. And they, not only did they not stop it, they allowed the civilians that day also to be killed. This is all now declassified information. Every war we've ever got involved in, we could have either prevented it or we didn't need to get involved in, because the Vietnam War. Why did we go fight a civil war and send our soldiers to die for a civil war halfway across the country? Why? And I'm sorry, but maybe you won't agree with me, but I'll tell you this. Not a single American man or woman should die on behalf of Israel. And a lot of people are going to say, Vlad, but you're a Christian. How can you say that? I, as a Christian, stand with the Church of Jesus Christ, not a world government. According to Romans chapter 13, the only government I should stand with is the government I live under. We're in the New Testament. The chosen people of Christ in the New Testament is the Church of Jesus Christ, his bride. Ladies and gentlemen, just because our very loved President Trump says, oh, this person's great, let's look into their history. I'm going to have a whole video about some cabinet members. Do you know that one of Trump's, and I want you to Google search this and fact check me, but there is a person that we see almost every single day with Donald Trump, almost every single day. He's a very big advisor to Trump. For over a decade, this person was the next door neighbor to Jeffrey Epstein. Just do a little research. You'll get the name. You'll see it. He's someone we all like. He speaks great and is doing great work. Yeah. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, God bless you. God bless our United States military. May the Lord give our President Donald Trump wisdom and understanding. And I think that's, and the fear of the Lord, because the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. God bless you. I'll see you on the next one. I'm out.